Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be covering Plastisol ink transfers. So let's talk about the benefits of using Plastisol ink transfers. Well, the cool thing about it is you can print up a bunch of these and then you can take them to like a show of some sort. You can take them to an event and just take your heat press, and you don't have to take your entire screen printing equipment to print shirts for your clients and your customers at these events. So it makes it really easy. And you know, if you have a design that you're going to be printing and you don't sell a whole lot of them, you can go ahead and print a bunch of these up and just save them, because they'll last for a very, very long time. All right, so let's talk about what's involved with the Plastisol ink transfers. Two of the main things that you're going to need to do this, of course, is a screen printing press, a conveyor dryer, and a flash dryer if you're going to be doing multiple colors with these Plastisol ink transfers. Okay, and that's the equipment that you need. Now, other things you're going to need is Plastisol transfer adhesion powder. And what this is, it's a powder, and if you look on the screen here, this is the particular brand that I'm using in this video. You don't have to use that video, but I wanted to put that up there so you guys can see what I'm using and how to do that. So that's the Plastisol transfer adhesion powder. The other thing you're going to need is a hot peeled Plastisol transfer paper. The one I'm using in this video is 15-inch by 15-inch. Okay, so that's what we're going to need. That's what I'm using in this video, and that's what you're going to need to do for the Plastisol ink transfers. Now, let's talk about heat settings for these Plastisol ink transfers. It's going to be quite different than what you do when you're printing on a standard garment. So your flash temperature needs to be below 280, so probably around 270, 280 to do flash temperatures. Now that's if you're using multiple colors. If you cure it too much, it's not going to work. It's going to crumble and fall apart on the paper, and you won't get the quality transfer that you're looking for. That is the maximum for both your flash dryer and your conveyor dryer, because these cure between 270 and 280. All right, so once you get everything ready to go, you're going to go ahead and set up, as you see on the screen. I'm putting a transfer paper now on the platen. Okay, you just use regular adhesive tack to spray down on your platen and put the transfer paper down. But let's back up just a minute. Let's talk about your screen that you're going to be using. You're going to want to use 110 mesh screens when you're doing this process. And when you're coating the screen with emulsion, you're going to want to use the rounded side of your scoop coater, so that way you apply a generous amount of emulsion, so that way your stencil is good and thick when you're doing this. Because you're not want to overprint, but you don't want to underprint as well. It's kind of a fine-tuning thing. So once you start doing it, you'll find that sweet spot as far as applying the ink to the transfer paper. Okay, the image itself, when you burn it on the screen, there's two ways you can do it. When you're working with the graphic in your graphic software, you can either mirror the image and print out the films backwards, or you can just go ahead and print them out normally, and then when you get ready to burn your image to the screen, you just put it on the screen backwards, as you would when you're doing regular screen printing. That way, either way works. For this particular video, I used the latter. I just flipped the film backwards on the screen, which works fine. And then you just go ahead and finish your screen as you just go ahead and set up your screen as normal, and then registration and all that. So when you're ready to print your Plastisol ink transfer, the way you attach it to your platen is you just use regular spray tack on your platen. You set up the Plastisol ink transfer where it needs to be, and you're going to set it up with the print side facing up like you would a normal garment. All right, so then after that, you go ahead and screen print normal onto that. Now, so this is what you need to know about applying the adhesion powder. If you're doing multiple colors or you're doing single colors, the ink has got to be wet when you do this process. As you can see here, what I do is I just get a plastic tote and just dump in the adhesion powder into that. And so once you do your print, you just scoop it in there. Okay, you want to make sure that you cover the entire image with the adhesion powder with one smooth type of motion. All right, so once that's done, you hold it up and then kind of flick the back of the transfer. That way you're knocking off additional powder. And the reason why you want to do this is if a whole bunch of powder is left on there, when you're getting ready to use the heat press and you're going to put this image on a garment, some of that adhesion powder, if it's clumped up on there, will transfer to the shirt and you won't be able to get that off. So just take your time and flick it off. Okay, now if you're doing multiple colors, you're going to want to flash in between multiple colors, but there again, you don't want to go above 280 degrees when you do that. But the last color that you print onto the transfer paper, you want to make sure that it's wet, and you just do the same process with the adhesion powder in the tub, but make sure that last color is still wet. And another thing that you're going to want to also do is, instead of doing like standard screen printing from light to dark, when you're doing heat transfer, you're going to want to do dark to light because it goes on backwards when you heat press the shirt. Okay, so the adhesion powder is applied and you're ready to go to the next step. You go ahead and put it into your conveyor dryer. So what you're going to do is, once everything is completed, you're going to take your heat transfer, as you see here, and you're going to want to cut around all the edges. The reason why you're doing it is, like I said earlier, if you have any adhesion powder on here, there's a chance that it can get on the shirt, and if that's the case, it's not going to come out of your shirt. It's not going to come out of the garment if it does a heat press extra powder on there. So it's best just go ahead and kind of cut around the design. That way you're good to go on that. Okay, get as close as you can, but make sure you don't cut the actual graphic. So go ahead and heat up your heat press to either 320 to 330, somewhere in between there. And you're going to want to put hard pressure down. The more firmer pressure you put down with your heat press, the better the heat transfer will go onto your garment. Okay, once that's done, you're ready to press. So go ahead, and what I do is I go ahead and press the shirt to make sure all the moisture is out, and then, just like you would a regular vinyl transfer type of thing. Okay, so then you press it down, make sure it has firm pressure, because the firmer the pressure, the better the adhesion will be to the garment with the Plastisol ink transfer. The cool thing about these Plastisol ink transfers is you can take them, you can print a bunch of these off, and then if you have like a show somewhere, you can just take a heat press, and then you can press your shirts there and start selling them, which makes it easier for a lot of events that you go to. Okay, now that it's done, we're going to pop it out of the press, remove the garment from the press, and you don't even have to remove it from the press. You can leave it in there, but you want to make sure that you remove the transfer paper off of the garment now, and make it sure when you're pulling it, you pull at a corner and pull it down at a smooth motion. That way everything comes off smoothly. The way you know if it's a good transfer is the transfer paper will have a slight hue to it. It'll have a slight hazing of the color that you used. I used black in this particular video, so it's going to be a little darker than what you would with white, but you're not going to want to see any clumping, anything like that. You want to make sure it's smooth, just like it is on the shirt. So once that's done, your shirt's good to go, and you can send it off to your customer, hand it over to your customer if you're at an event. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you like and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Check out the detail page. I have a lot of cool links in there. If you're interested in this design here, put a link in there in the description, so that way you can purchase one of these shirts. It helps the channel, and I appreciate every one of you that has purchased so far. All right, guys, catch you in the next video.